Hi everyone, really happy to be here with you today with Christophe to talk to you about Decathlon's journey into platform engineering. First, we have a question for you. We'd like you to take a couple of seconds to think about what is your definition of platform engineering. Next, we have a number for you, and this number is 5,000. What do you think this number represents? You can scream if you want. Megapods, clusters, yeah. 5,000 is the number of teammates in Decathlon Digital. And this number is important because it represents the scale of our platform. We built it to accommodate multiple thousands of users. And ultimately, this means that every platform needs to fit its own organization. So a couple of words about Decathlon. So we are the world's largest sports goods retailer. And as I said, we have around 5,000 digital teammates. To understand our journey, first we must understand where we come from. So a couple of years ago, this was kind of our organization in a digital entity. We had big domains. Each domains had their own ops team, dev teams. Everyone was quite independent from each other. And the motto at the time was liberation. And liberation meant the freedom to do whatever we wanted as long as it created value for the company. So it was a great time. We started a lot of projects. We made a lot of great things. But there was also drawbacks. There was also issues. And as an example of this issue, at some point, an internal audit revealed that we had more than 20 observability tools used across the digital. So that's the kind of inefficiencies I'm talking about and the kind of inefficiencies we wanted to tackle. Among all the projects that we started and created, 2 initiatives really are important to us in our journey. The first one is that we added the tech governance. Because for 5,000 people, yeah, we need some governance and in the end. And it's loosely based on CNCF or Kubernetes with technical oversight committee and special interest groups. And the other thing is that we wanted to provide a standardized way to provision and use infrastructure. So this is our organization today. The domain organization is basically the same with ops teams in each domains, kind of closer to the dev now. And what's important to note is we now have this platform-based layer. And it's composed of the business capabilities platform, which handles the software components like checkout, invoicing, catalogs, etc. And data platform, name speaks for itself. And our entity, Cloud Platform Engineering, or CPE, which handles the network, the base infrastructure, and tries to build this platform for all our digital users.
We initiated the work on our golden path during the last quarter of 2020. We did not start with a dedicated portal for developers, and as far as I remember, we not even thought about doing that. We started with a platform engine. To be honest, more as an opportunity rather than as an explicit choice at that time. Essentially because the initial team working on the topic was closer to ops folks than to backends or front-end developers. By the way, this notion of platform orchestrator was only mentioned way later, in September 2023, in the volume 29 of the ThoughtWorks Tech Radar. What are the problems that we try to solve? We observed a trend to reinvent the wheel. Each domain had its own way of consuming the building blocks of the infrastructure. For example, like the public cloud envelopes, the network addressing plans, and other service providers. And also, there was too much room available for interpretation when they had to implement operating model or apply security practices. Another big issue was that the developers were not really part of the infrastructure building process. So what we provided, we wanted our platform engine to become the way to streamline how to build the infrastructure inside Decathlon. We did that by supplying another level of abstraction. It was ready to use by both developers and ops so that they can contribute together at the same time to the definition of the infrastructure they needed. Hence, there were no infrastructure development skill required to use this engine. It was all-inclusive observability, security, credential management, IAM policies, firewall rules. Everything was provided without any specific stuff to do. And it was also as code because we are believers in the GitOps way. So our engine is named 3S, and 3S stands for self-service stack. You will see that we are not definitely naming engineers. We allowed our users to describe what they want as the infrastructure through YAML descriptors, and they are able to collaborate through pull requests. We are running Terraform for them under the hood. And the outcome is GCP projects and all the service needed for the resources they requested. But there is one big assumed trade-off with this solution. It's the fact that we only provided a way to connect through internet. It means there is no connectivity with the Decathlon private and internal network. And it worked, mostly as expected. We observed adoption in almost all the domains, at least the domains that did not require connectivity to the internal network. And we also gathered very good feedback from the developers that started to use the engine. We built this engine thanks to a core team of 15 folks coming from the ops world and from the developer world. We were also able to onboard more than 50 contributors from several domains. And we also managed to enforce pretty high quality standards, even if they are not perfect, because of the complexity of the engine we needed to provide. But there were also limits. Like I said earlier, there were no connectivity to the internal network. As we are running everything inside a single Terraform run, we started to face some performance issues in some use cases. Regarding the contribution, the first steps to be able to contribute was actually pretty high for some folks that were not familiar with the quality standards that we were enforcing and the broad set of technologies that we had to use under the hood. And for the release management, it was really done the hard way, mainly because of the high number of functional tests that we had to do in relation with the richness of the service catalogs that we provided. And these tests were pretty hard to automate, and we did not succeed to automate them as much as we would have wanted to. Sorry.
So here we are, 3 years later. We are at the beginning of 2024, and we reflected on the limits Christophe just mentioned, and we set 3 main objectives for our next iteration of 3S. And they revolve around these three things: products, focus on the developer experience, and tackle this internal connectivity issue we have. For the products, our goal is to increase adoption, increase our user base. So we need a more robust way to interact with our users, a more robust way to sell our product to our users, get feedback, etc. We wanted us also to have a more developer-focused product because we needed a better user experience for our developers because they were our primarily users, targeted users. And describing infrastructure into YAML, it's not that bad, or maybe, but it's really not the best way for developers that are not keen on infrastructure. And the last one, in order to onboard all the domains in Decathlon Digital, well, we needed to tackle this internal connectivity problem. Regarding the products, as I said, wanted to increase our users, and we needed something better to interact with them. As for our existing users and all of our users overall, we wanted to improve our commitment, have a better release management, release more often, better releases, better planning for the better roadmaps for the next releases. And we also wanted to create a dedicated feedback loop with our users. So we added a discovery process in order for our users to submit feature requests, be able to upvote them, downvote them, discuss, and exchange with us about their needs. So our product strategy evolved, and we switched to a three-product strategy. So we have single region product and multi-region product. As Christophe mentioned, we are platform engineers and not naming engineers, so yeah, SRP and MRP. These two products stem directly from the 3S. And we added a third product, our internal developer portal, in order to work on this user-developer experience thing. So SRP and MRP, I won't talk much about MRP because it's basically SRP with a multi-region as a first citizen. So it's kind of declare once, deploy multiple times. And so SRP and MRP, they are loosely based on the 3S engine, a bit reworked. But what's important is the network part. In order to accommodate for the internal connectivity, we completely overhauled the network on SRP and MRP. New addressing plan, new subnetting, new VPNs, so on and so forth. As Christophe mentioned, 3S are kinda independent bubbles. They can only expose application publicly to the internet. And in order to be able to reach our internal network from SRP, we introduced an in-house component that we called Platform Score. And Platform Score is the component that reworked all the network, as I mentioned earlier. So it allows us to reach our internal network from our SRP and MRP tenants. And it also allows us to internally expose application to this internal network. So what is Platform Score? So it's basically a Terraform provider and an API. And what's interesting about the API is that it allows us to provision a lot of network and security resources. And it allows us to provision them independently from the network team. It's really interesting because before, we had to submit support requests, et cetera, et cetera. It was not the most efficient way to do. So now all the security, all the compliance, all the standards, they are built into the PFC API, and we are really autonomous and can provision these resources that are kind of heavy on demand. And the PFC API was not the only API we introduced. This was kind of a cultural change for us. having so many APIs and developing in-house APIs. We added provisioning API, we added a secret management API, and this allowed us to really streamline all the consumption of our products from provisioning to actual workload deployments. So SRP looks good, right? Should tackle all the issues we have. Well, it was not without challenges, and it was also not without the product being changed. The first issue we met was kind of a dependency hell, because when we introduced the platform score components, well, all the other components, well, they basically depend on the network. So they had to rework to work with platform score. And this put a lot of stress and strain on the platform score team, because they had to work with all the bugs, all the feature requests of all the other teams at the same time. So it was not a great time for us, to be honest. And this is in addition to the usual, I would say, stress that is put on the engine team, because all the components were reworked a bit, and well, this put also some stress at the same time on the engine team. The other issue, the bigger one that we faced, is that at the beginning of SRP and MRP, we really thought that it would be possible for us to migrate for users to migrate from 3S to SRP. But as we reworked the network, we introduced changes and many more changes. And at some point, we realized that it wouldn't be possible. We wouldn't be able to migrate from 3S to SRP or MRP seamlessly. And that was a bummer for our users, because if our existing users wanted to migrate from 3S to SRP, well, they had to start from scratch. They had to migrate all the data, all the workload from 3S to SRP. And this would be costly because it would take them a lot of time. As for our new users, or potential new users, the good thing was that they could leverage our internal network. So good. But the thing is, the users that were skeptical about the value of 3S compared to what they were already using, building things their own way with Terraform directly, well, they were still skeptical about SRP and MRP, because it was just like a 3S with internal connectivity and a couple new features. It was not a game changer for them, so they didn't see the value.
So now we are in December 2024, which is quite funny because actually it was after we submitted a call for paper for this conference. So we convinced ourselves we had to make a choice. And we agreed that we would have to choose between two options. The first one was either we go back to the 3S engine, or do we start to build a new engine, something like a hybrid one, relying on the foundation of both 3S and SRP MRP project. We also agreed on the fact, on our decision drivers, sorry. The two main decision drivers were we really wanted to maximize the usage of our platform orchestrator. And the second one is that all the development costs related to the choice that we would be making would have to be as low as possible. So, which option do you think we did choose? Yep, back to the 3S engine. If we look at the pros and cons of the fact that we made this choice, some strengths, we were going back to more familiar ground, so it was easier for some of us to work on that. But there is still this big major weakness related to the fact that we cannot we don't have any connectivity to the internal network. But we also found some opportunities The first one was that we decided to tackle some technical debt related to this four years old engine that was the 3S engine. And we were also able to update the portfolio of the 3S thanks to the fact that we decided to backport some of the features that we developed only for the SRP and MRP product. But there was also another threat, which is the fact that we have to find how to cover the blind spots of this 3S product, especially for the users that do not want to use or cannot want to use the 3S engine. What is our future? We are now 1 quarter after this reboot of the 3S engine. Like we said at the very beginning, we started with the platform orchestrator. In the meantime, the whole company became more mature regarding its developer portal expectations. We are only at the very beginning of the link between our developer portal and this platform orchestrator. And we really want to refine the link between the portal and the platform orchestrator so that this link becomes a key lever to the adoption of the platform orchestrator.
So now a couple of lessons learned and takeaways from this journey into platform engineering. First, something good for us that we intend to keep is our delivery management process and our planification. We now have a dedicated delivery manager. We do quarterly planning to work out all the dependencies between the teams. We have clear roadmaps of where we want to go, and it's really smoothen the workloads on all the teams, and it's really alleviate a lot of stress. So it's a really good point. Next, we should stay flexible, and we should learn and adapt. Learning through failure is a key value at Decathlon, so it's okay for us to go one way, fail, go back, try something new, and until we find something that works. It's fine. And we think that in our ever-changing tech world, it's a good thing to have because we need to know when to accelerate and double down on something, know when to take a step back and try something new in order to get where we want. This one is kind of obvious, but it's easily forgotten. We platform engineers serve our users, and our users serve their business. So our job is really to make their job easier by alleviating a lot of complexities, a lot of difficulties, and making them be able to focus on the business and what makes the value for the company. And one mistake we did was that we put too much complexity on our users, thinking that they would be able to migrate or they would want to migrate from 3S to SRP. And our job is to, as I said, absorb this complexity, not put that on their shoulder. And the last one, this is kind of obvious, but it's also easily forgotten, but I think it's really important. Resistance to change is inevitable. And the sooner you acknowledge that, the sooner the better you will be able to deal with it.
We are backenders. If you don't have the reference, I will invite you to subscribe to this awesome platform engineering related newsletter written by Caspar von Grudberg. He gives this name to the backenders, to the group of people that start the platform engineering journey with the platform orchestrator. We always try to align our goals with the maturity of the moment. And we build this platform orchestrator for Decathlon users with Decathlon users, which is really one of the recurring points you might have heard several times since you are at this instance of the KubeCon. So now we would like to invite you again to think about what is your definition of platform engineering. Thank you.